One of the interviews that I've listened to is an interview that you did for BBC Northampton, and you said setting up a charity and running a charity is actually a very, very tough thing. And you talked about some of the challenges of the organisation, some of the challenges again within the sector as well. So talk to us about some of those challenges, not necessarily related to, youth and some of the macro issues, but talk to us about you as the CEO of this charitable organisation, and what does that look like, and what's the experiences of that?
It's been really tough.
Yeah.
I think any business owner themselves, whether it's a for profit or a not for profit, will know how tough it is to run an organisation. And of course, I came into running an organisation at a kitchen table without funding or without actually any business management skills. So I've made a hell of a lot of mistakes in my 12 years, and probably I've got a lot more to make before I finish too. Funding is a real challenge in our world. It is difficult to get funding if you don't have existing relationships with the big funders. And so we've always had this intention of kind of keeping ourselves moving with employers and working with employers, charging them a service so that we didn't have to rely on funding. And I think what's really important is that where funding is available, it should be going into services that provide face-to-face support for young people. So I've always been very cautious anyway about funding. So I've tried to have this commercial model. As a social enterprise, you're allowed to have a commercial model and then reinvest any profits back into the organisation, which is something that really sings to me. I think more businesses should be looking, and certainly government contracting should be looking at where they can get that social value by paying for services in the not-for-profit world to ensure that actually we're not paying out huge amounts of money to shareholders for services that are so important to our economy. But anyway, it is tough out there trying to get businesses to understand our value, because we're not shiny. We're not a big tech solution that sometimes is offered up to the sector. And there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of platforms. There's a lot of organisations that say that they're the solution for employers to bridge that gap, to close the gap between their hiring needs, their EDI needs, their social mobility needs. And so making sure that we're there with really honest and informed data that really helps employers is super important. But it's been really hard to make our voices heard in a very noisy landscape. And honestly, over the last 12 years, I probably could have closed Youth Employment UK down 10 times or more. There's been periods where I've not taken a salary out of the organisation, and actually in more recent years where my deputy has also paused her salary too. But fighting the fight for young people and making sure that we can keep doing the thing that we know is right has been more important than that kind of paycheck, which is crazy because I've got a mortgage to pay and, responsibilities at home. But it has been that hard over the years. And I'm not sure that we'll be free from that kind of challenge, but it's one that I'm very well versed to. But it's made me really old, Saf, over the last few years.
Canny Conversation Podcast Series 5 by Safaraz Ali.